Okay. Welcome to Tech Packs Are Due. Episode 16, the real stuff. We are man, I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, Jon and I just took about 2 hours to set this thing up. First time. But we are here at the historic Deadstock Coffee. If you know Portland and you know footwear, then you've heard of this Deadstock. Just been kind of a staple. It's just so cool that someone thought, like, that Ian thought, kicks. Portland is like the shoe place, and it's also a coffee place, and you just put them two together and you have this cool thing. A lot of cool stuff has happened in this room. There was like a couple like Nike sneaker parties. Cool. Yeah, like really, it's actually super cool space.
Wait, what's a Nike sneaker party? Sorry, I'm not trying to
they just
interrupt your whole intro, but
they have like
a sneaker party.
I mean, I want to say they had like a Tinker thing where they just put like a bunch of his shoes out, and he just like talked about it.
Oh, cool.
I think for the launch of this space, this location, they had a bunch of like Nike guys out. Yeah. Like I want to say like Eric Avar, or like those guys, like
some OGs.
Yeah, some OGs came out for the launch of this place. Yeah, pretty legit. Super pumped to be here. I mean, honestly, like the more I'm in Portland, I didn't know I was going to talk about this. The more I'm in Portland, like you just feel like you're in the shoe world. We're about like 2 miles from Nike campus in this, like where we're sitting. We're like in the shadows of Nike. So not that
ominous.
Yeah. like yeah, right. But we're here. This is also our first like face-to-face podcast, which I think is kind of what we want to do. I don't know what I wanted to do when I first started this, but I really did think eventually we would get to the point where we're doing this in person, and I didn't know what that would look like. And things like pieces just kind of fall into place, like most things you do when you start something. You don't know exactly how all it's going to work. I just had this vision, like, let's do this. It's kind of surreal to be at this point where we're doing this in person. I'm a little nervous because I haven't done this before. But I mean, I have talked to Jon before, man to man. Like, so whatever. We got the sign up.
Man to man. Sounds like we've had like an argument and we're like, something to address.
Well, yeah. Maybe we have, maybe.
True, yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, we got the sign up.
Oh yeah.
We figured it out.
We talk about the sign, man. There's like a little.
I bought a sign. I bought all the bells and whistles with the sign. We tried to hang it up, and it didn't go as planned. So now it's got my shoestrings or my shoelaces, and it's working out though. It's going to be a staple. I'm going to have it pretty much in everything. I've spent a sneakers amount of money on it. Yeah, like you could either have this sign or you could have a pair of Flu Game Jordans.
Really?
Yeah.
I think those are a little more pricey. But wait. I meant like the little like inspo that you said.
Oh man. Oh yeah. So I have never told this yet. But in my kind of backstory of designing footwear, I've been told by managers who will remain nameless, that like he kept asking me like, your designs are so busy. Like, cause I would, I don't know, get in my own head to thinking that like some things are too simple, or like, oh, well, I need to design it, like over design it sometimes. And he'd be like, dude, it's too much. Like they're so busy. And I kind of took that to heart, cause like, I don't know how to change myself, and how I design is how I design. And I feel like if it were me managing myself, I'd probably just say, hey, go for it. Like whatever you do to make the best shoes, like kind of do it. And I understand that sometimes you need to refine yourself and become better. But so that whole thing of being told like I'm busy, it's too busy, it's too much, kind of inspired this logo. Because I just said, well, if it's too busy and I design things too busy, I'm just going to do a busy logo, like the busiest possible logo. So what's busier than like this sign that's got like lines all over the place, and they're not filled. It's all outline stuff, because the actual logo is like filled stuff, like filled vectors, and they're like, well, we can't do filled. We can just do the outlines. I was like, even better. Like, it's just busy. It's in your face. And I just like that it has all the jagged stuff as well. I think it'll just like, there's like an order. Yeah. There's like an order, but like,
was that like intentional? You had them like do that, or that's just how they did it? Like,
no, that's how it worked.
oh,
yeah, like
okay.
They sent me a mock-up, and it was like basically AI, like a Illustrator line art that they had applied like a glowing Gaussian blur. I was like, all right, like I don't even know if I need to see this. Just make it. Yeah. And
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
But it arrived literally yesterday. I was like, this is crazy. So it's definitely coming. It's on the show. Bam.
Congrats.
Thank you. It feels official. I was telling John offline, I was like, everyone has one. Like all the podcasts that I've seen, they always make one. And I said, whatever. And the size, I literally had a picture frame in our house that I was like, I think this size looks pretty good. And I measured it, and I was like, 19 by 20, whatever, 20 by 20, go for it. And they did it. I don't know. Yeah.
Sick.
So here we are. Dead Stock Coffee, the shadows of Nike, talking footwear with, the guest, Jon Guisbert. That's how Guisbert. Dang.
Yeah. Damn, man.
So hey, hold on. We're gonna cut that out.
No, keep that.
No, because that's what Lee said. He goes,
Well, you know what?
My Jon Guisbert.
This is probably like, maybe connects a little bit to like my personal backstory, but like my last name is just like, it's very it's like not common. So like I've gotten so many different like variations of people pronouncing it. So
yeah, right.
Like, it's all good.
I mean,
it's not the worst one I've heard.
Yeah. Well, I just, when Lee said it, I was like, oh, I've always been like doing like French, like Guisbert.
Yeah.
But is it French?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It's yeah.
Okay.
It's like basically it was started out as Guisbert, so like my family's like Bolivian, Ecuadorian, so like Andean cultures. And so our ancestral last name is like Guisbert, the Q.
Yeah.
And then when the like colonial folks were like changing people's names to sound more European, so then the Bert got added.
Right.
It was like,
interesting.
Like French, or like actually the kind of German sounding too, like depending how you pronounce it. Yeah. And then when my dad moved to New York, when he immigrated to New York, they like got the first letter wrong on his thing. So they changed his name from Guisbert to Giz with a G.
Yeah.
So they thought it was a G. They just like, oh yeah. And he was just like, I'm not trying to make any problems. So he was just like, yeah, whatever, just let me in, like it's all good. So then that's where like Guisbert. Nice. I also have thought about pronouncing it like at a time. I feel like I've tried different variations, and I've tried like Guisbert, but then I'm like, I just feel kind of like weird doing that. So yeah, so Guisbert's like the classic like American thing, but I'm like in progress of like going backwards to like changing it back.
Yeah, the one thing I wish more people would do, and probably what I should have done, is been like, how do you pronounce your name? Because I think it's just like a nice gesture. Like even my last name has been kind of run through the ringer quite a bit, because the Italian is like, it's like Bragini.
Oh,
and I'm like, I don't even know if I like that. Like, like,
I mean, it sounds cool.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like,
well, I didn't even know that. What it is. So you're Italian American?
Yeah, I'm like a 4th generation Italian.
Damn. So from
according
both
to my
sides,
dad's side.
you
But
both parents are.
no, oh my gosh, my mom's is English,
Okay.
German, eventually Viking or whatever it is. Yeah, it was about as it's about as white as you can get, but that is what it is. But anyway, no, it's so it's great to have you on. And now that I know how to say your last name, but no, it's great to have you on. And actually, John's super cool. He came down. He is the test for this part of the this format of the podcast that is going to be kind of more prevalent, I'd say. Like each guest that I have here in Portland, I mean, there's a lot of Portland designers. So we're gonna have this setup is gonna be what happens. Like we're gonna come to dead stock and we're gonna shoot here as long as Eden will have us. And yeah, it should it'll be pretty sick. So yeah, like I said, we have Jon here. We have more guests coming. But it's kind of an interesting story with Jon and I. He was nice enough to drive down.
I took the train, but yeah.
Oh, well, oh my God.
Dude, you picked
me up from the train. I picked you up from the train. I picked him up. All right. He came down driving. I don't know. He came down the train, the Amtrak. And it was nice enough to do that and be like, I mean, honestly, if someone would have asked me to be the trial run of a podcast, I don't know if I would have said yes. So like the trial run of an in-person, but it's pretty sick. So Jon and I worked together, and I was able to see him do some pretty awesome stuff at Brooks. We actually helped like in a very small way on some shoes and stuff that Jon designed, but
sure.
Yeah, pretty prolific. I don't know much about Jon outside of Brooks and our time together, but I just know that he was awesome, super good designer. I hope everyone it's gonna be an awesome. I guess this is a good time to talk about the format of like this situation. We're gonna talk to Jon about his background. It's going to be sick. And then we're going to do like a hot one style, talking to Jon about like shoes that he's done. And he's going to give us some insights on his shoes. And then it's a little treat at the end. I really want to do this. And I think this is going to get to kind of what I want to capture with this podcast is like how we do what we do. Jon and I are going to sit, we're going to cut, we're going to rearrange the cameras. We're going to pick a shoe that, is one of Jon's, and we're going to sit down, we're going to sketch it, and we're both going to like not look at each other's stuff. He's going to do what he does. You're going to see that live. I'm going to do what I do. You'll see that live, and we'll just sketch. And hopefully we sketch well. It's late, but we're going to, I don't know. It's like riding a bike. Once you get started, it just like kind of tunes in. But, anyway, I think that's exciting. I think it'll be good. So let's get rolling. All right. Jon Guisbert. Guisbert. It doesn't even sound right.
G. That's why most
G,
people call
Jon
me
G.
Because there's so many pronunciations. It's just easier now. For the most part, I'm just like, just G.
All right, Jon G. Yeah, I think to just jump into it, why don't you again like designer for Brooks, but there's so much more to that, and how you get to that point. So yeah, I guess like just jump in, man. What's the story? How did you get here? How did you become a designer?
Yeah.
What was that journey like? What's young Jon G like?
Little baby Jon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, thanks for having me, and congrats. Cause like, I think the reason I like came down, and also like in your defense, I did volunteer to be the guinea pig for it, you know what I mean? So, definitely don't feel too bad, because I was like interested in what you're doing. And what I like about what you're doing is like, I think just making footwear design especially, but like design in general is like more accessible, I think is like important to me. And I think we talked a little bit about it, but like I think the way that other design content is made can feel like a little I don't know, overcomplicated is the right word, but like sometimes even the language and terminology is like very of the industry, right? So then like people who are outside don't really, there's like a little barrier, right? Where like you're trying to understand some like ideas that are maybe like really complex and stuff. And like, I don't know, I think it's really important to try to just give as much knowledge to other people that are trying to get in and stuff. So that's like the reason why I was mainly down to like come down, do the thing in person. Also, the Zoom thing just seemed like, yeah, I'm tired of Zoom. So I was just like, you know, I'm just like a few hours away. So yeah, there's no issue like pop down. But yeah, man, congrats, dude. Like it's been cool. I think a lot of people don't do this type of stuff because like either they're scared or like, you know, it's just other things in life. So like, you know, I think that's cool that you're like just trying to do something and like just seeing where it goes. I think that's really dope. So congrats on that. Well, first of all, great job.
Pat myself on the back. But I would say just to that is like, I didn't know, you know, what it would be, you know, like,
yeah.
And I didn't realize what I was even doing. Like, you know, like I just thought we need to talk more about this. And like, why does this career not have any like voices?
Mm-hmm.
And why are we afraid to be about it? So there's like a mix of things. Like, I just want to start something, like, and see a project through. And so, but yeah, thanks, man. But no, it's really, again, like I say this to everybody, like it's your episode, like, so I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah.
But
no, I just want to say that.
I do want to use my platform to elevate you guys, anyone who comes on, like, just like, I don't have a ton of LinkedIn people and I don't have a ton of Instagram followers. Like I have an okay amount, but it's like, I want to just open that up to anybody and everybody and celebrate the creativity you guys have. So
yeah, no, for sure. Appreciate that. So so thanks for that. And then, in terms of like just a little backstory. So I started out, as like an accounting and law major in undergrad. That's what my undergrad is in. Like I got my bachelor's and like double majored because like I was just trying to get the most out of the scholarship and financial aid that I had. So I think I was like, my mom in particular was always like, oh, you got to be a certain type of professional. It was like lawyer, engineer, like business person, whatever it was. It was like a very, you know, kind of like what you would typically see as like a successful American career type of thing, you know? So since she immigrated to New York from Ecuador, I think that's kind of like part of her perspective that she brought. So, you know, I kind of had that on my back, like since elementary school was like, oh, you got to get good grades and this and that. And like, anyway, that kind of led to, I was an engineering major at first, like my freshman year. Then I was like, damn, like calculus is kind of hard. And I was like I was so used to everything being like fairly easy. Like school was always like, oh, everything just makes sense. Like everything's just logical. So I'm like, I don't know. It didn't connect with me all the time where I'm like, oh, like why? Like I was very much in my little like perspective and I wasn't very like, I don't know, just it was a little bit challenging sometimes when I was like in school to be like, oh, like understanding other people's levels of like progression or like, you know, what like certain people are really good at certain topics and others are not, right? So I think like for a long time everything seems so intuitive. I was like, oh, things just kind of like are relatively logical. It makes sense. But then a calc hit and I was like, oh shit, like no, I really have to like actually study and like actually like try to understand these concepts. And that was kind of good because like I think that was my first time I got a C in like my college career. And I was like, oh shoot, like it was on a test. And then at the end I had to like whatever, like catch up and get an A on the, you know, all the like things that you do to like pass school and whatever. But anyway, so engineer, then I got into accounting, and then I ended up like graduating with like a bachelor's in like accounting and law. I was a CPA for like a year and a half, or almost 2 years at a big accounting firm called Ernst & Young. So that was like, it was like if you're an accountant, that's like if you get drafted to like the NBA type of thing. That's like athlete going to NBA is like the big four was like the accounting thing. Like, so everybody was like trying mad hard to like get into these accounting firms. And then anyway, so I did that. I was like, wow, this is great. And did that for like a year and a half. I think it wasn't like challenging enough. I was doing like taxes basically, like real estate compliance stuff. So it was like pretty boring, but like technically like a little bit difficult. But like because it was repetitive, I was like, all right, this is not challenging enough. Like I wanted something more analytical.
Right.
And so then from there, I got a job at Adidas, also in New York. So like I guess I didn't say that part, but I'm from Queens, New York, born and raised. And then I was working in like Times Square, where like Ernst & Young was at.
Yeah.
And there was like a small office near Rockefeller Center, like in some back of the showroom, like old Adidas showroom. So I got a job there. They like randomly had this like one financial analyst position there, and there was only like 3 people on the whole team. So like it was a very small team. They were remote from like the Portland office.
Right.
So it was like a satellite office in New York. So it just happened to be like kind of perfect timing.
Right.
So I got that job. I did that for like another year and a half or 2 years, or something like that. And at that time, that's when I first started like exploring design, because I had never really heard about it.
Yeah.
Growing up, like art and design wasn't really a big like part of the curriculum. In like elementary, high school, like college, whatever. So yeah, that's when I started like just testing it out. And I was like, I just went to took some like night classes at FIT while I was working full time. So I did that. I learned how to make took a class like learning how to make shoes and how to make clothes, like my first like term. And then because I didn't know like if I could do either and like which one I liked.
Right.
So I just something about shoes, just like I don't know, it just drew me in a bit more.
Right.
My part was like stressful at that time because I was like juggling all this stuff, and like my final ended up just like having pinned like sleeves to shirts and like I didn't even finish type of thing because it was just like kind of complicated.
Yeah.
But yes, and that's kind of where like I think I first got into shoes, taking that class. And then I took a like athletic footwear class, like sketching class and stuff. And
right.
saw how bad I was at sketching.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, did you ever, so your whole life you've been like, did you sketch at all? Like,
no.
Like
no,
growing up, you didn't do like, holy crap.
I definitely didn't. No, not at all. I think like, I remember my thing was like, I used to want to be like an inventor when that was like a profession that was still like kind of called that, now it's like, you invent things, but like you can get a patent as a designer, as an engineer, whatever. Right. But like, that was my connection to like design or engineering or like things that are more related to like what I do now, So that's where I think I got that from, was like more the inventor part of things, not like sketching. I just remember I used to like come up with like, I would show my sister like literally like a handful of times I can remember that I drew something, but it wasn't about the drawing. It was like, oh, I want like this technology to be like this, and like, oh, and imagine if it does this. So I remember I would tell her these like stories, and she was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like, that's a great idea. Like, I was like,
oh, do it.
I was like, or something. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, do it.
Yeah. Man. So yeah, no, I didn't grow up drawing or anything, and I was like really bad when I took that first class, like at FIT. I was like, I thought I was good too, because like I would just draw by myself, like because I started taking those classes. So you have to like, when I took a footwear class or apparel class, you got to sketch your design, like what you're
yeah.
So I started doing that, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of good, like just to myself,
I'm legit.
Yeah, I was like, look at these designs, like, and then like. You go and pin up your homework on the wall. You see everybody, like, how much better everybody else is. And I was like, oh shoot, like damn, like I'm really like I was like legit probably the worst in the class, like at the beginning of the class,
Holy crap.
Yeah, I was like pretty embarrassed, but
and it was shoe drawings?
Yeah, it was like athletic footwear drawing, I think is what it was called, or sketching. Yeah.
Man, I didn't know that was a class.
It was like a very, yeah, same. Like I feel like that type of class doesn't really exist. It's like like industrial design sketching or like fashion sketching kind of thing. Yeah. It was a very specific class.
I hear about FIT more and more and more, and I'm like, oh, like why I never heard about it. Like this is stuff like when I was growing up, I didn't even hear about. No one told me any like.
I mean, me neither. Like you just like find out about it, right? You just have to like as you go, you just kind of make just figure it out as you go. You hear about things. Same thing. That's the same time I heard about pencil too. So like I think when you talk about like, there's like the voices in the industry, I think like pencil is like for sure one of the ones that I would say like, oh, there I get like to your point, there's maybe not like in a digital format like this, like there's not in a voices, but I really love like the people that are out there, like Dwayne, who's like, just started pencil so many years ago. And like I went there, you went to pencil too, right? I think, yeah. We weren't in the same like class or anything. But so I don't know, lost track of where I was going with that. But but the backstory part was like FIT. And then I was like, oh, maybe I could do this. Like,
Yeah.
I started to really enjoy it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to commit and do this. And like what you were saying about Portland being like the hub, right? Like, of like footwear, I would say in the US, like I was thinking, okay, I was at Adidas, I was a financial analyst. And I was like, okay, well, if I really want to do this, I kind of have to be like, at least in the HQ to even be like in the mix, you know what I mean? Because like it was literally just us and like some salespeople. So I wasn't even like meeting people within the brand, you know, it was a very isolated situation. So then, yeah, I took a lateral job, like the same job opened up in Portland.
Yeah.
And so I interviewed for that, got that job. And then that's what brought me to Portland.
So you were doing finances for Audi and FIT at the same time. You're doing so you're doing like night class,
exactly,
FIT,
or like my manager once in a while would like oh yeah, if you have to like, you know, cut out half a day, like, you know, she was very like she was very understanding and like supportive, which was really cool. Mary Kate, you know, shout out to you. Mary Kate was super dope.
Oh, okay. That was you're like Mary Kate. I'm like, you're like the Olsen twins?
No. Oh, yeah, my first manager actually.
I was like, oh shoot, I didn't know they.
Hey, New York's a small world.
Yeah. Okay.
No, yeah, but I had a great manager who was like super supportive and was like, yeah, like if that's what you want to do, like we'll work with your schedule and like, you know, just let us know what you need.
Was there a point like when you were like, nah, this isn't like the whole CPA financial thing, like this isn't it, like I want to do footwear? Like where was that? Like you wanted to be creative?
No, I think that didn't happen until I was like already working as an analyst at Adidas.
Yeah.
Because like I think the CPA thing was just like, it just was too repetitive for me. And like always like different challenges. Like I'm constantly like, I think I work best when I'm like in new situations.
Right.
So because I enjoy that, I was like, okay, this is too repetitive. Like the tax cycle is like literally the most repetitive thing like possible. So it didn't hit me then. I think when I was an analyst, because I was in the showroom, there was like hella boxes everywhere, like what you see here, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we were getting the new D Rose shoe, this new football cleat, like whatever it was. So then I think once in a while, like, because I'm there sometimes, and there's, like I said, just like almost nobody there.
Yeah.
So I would just kind of like snoop around in the boxes, like, oh shoot, like what's this new thing? What's that new thing? Like
they would send you stuff.
Well, because it was a showroom, so we were literally, it was like basically almost like a warehouse type of vibe in the back where I was at. We were sitting in cubicles, and all around us is like boxes and boxes of shoes, because the salespeople gotta like, there's a showroom in the front, so they get all their shipments, and they're just showing the accounts, like the shoes. In the showroom.
Crap!
So we're just in the back room, basically, like almost like a storage room, kind of. Not like.
So you're like a Foot Locker, but like. But it's like preview product.
It was literally that. I was like the financial analyst, and I would support like the Foot Locker chain, like Adidas, analyzing like the footwear business with like wholesale accounts, like Foot Locker, like Champs, like that kind of stuff.
Holy crap!
Yeah. So they would come through to the showroom, and like you know, the salespeople would show them the products and whatever, like pre-lines type.
Yeah.
So yeah, literally that. So I was just in the back room, like with all these boxes. So then I think I was just like getting a little snoopy one time, and I was like, oh man, like the new whatever cleats they were, and I think that's when like it kind of something clicked, where I remember, you know, like playing football or playing like soccer and basketball, like in high school and college and stuff. I was like, I just used to love like the tech, like when it was like the Hyper Flight or something came out. Like, oh damn, like oh shoot, I'm gonna be playing a whole like different game now if I get this. So it was very much in that era of like, oh shoot, new innovation. Like it was very connected to like, you know, as an athlete, like who you want to be. So that was like, it was just more of like a recollection of like those little moments that I didn't even think about before. Like when I was hooping, I would see somebody kicks, I'm like, oh damn, he's nice, because of like those kicks are you know what I mean? Like kind of helping him out kind of thing. Yeah. So it was something like that. And that's where the first spark of like, oh, like I remember I used to want to be like an inventor and stuff. And like seeing these shoes, I was like, oh shoot, like I wonder if I could just try and see like footwear design, like what is that a thing? Like who designs these? So that was like the first, if there was a moment of like realization or whatever interest, that was it. It was in the showroom, like just, you know, snooping around.
Like looking at product. Yeah. That's awesome. It brings a picture in your head, right? Like I'm like imagining you like in a back room with boxes all around, and like and then like a showroom where it's like people are coming in seeing product. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I'm blown away. I did not know that this was not a lifelong pursuit.
Nah, man. Sometimes I feel like, oh man, I'd be like, like when I was transitioning from like career to career, like the accounting, like the finance thing to like the design thing, I was like, I would feel bad sometimes, like, oh man, I started so late, or like, oh, if I knew about this when I was like in elementary school, like, you know, because some kids be drawn, they're like 8 or something, or 5, you know, like people would just know from the jump,
right?
But like, it definitely wasn't like that for me, and like, I would feel bad sometimes. I'm like, oh man, like I'm so far behind, like whatever. Like I said, you start a class, and then you're like, there's like younger people that are like better than you, and you're just like, oh damn, like, you know, I'm way behind. But like in the end, it like, I totally changed perspectives on that, because I saw like, even if you're starting late, which I feel like a lot of people start whenever they start, like it's not, you know, a lot of people don't go the traditional route. Now I feel like I hear more about that, or people want to do it more. And I think that's cool, because I feel like starting late, it's almost like your beginning part. I feel like sometimes when you start something, if you're at the beginning phase, you're like the most like open and the most like creative, right? Usually, let's say as like a general thing. So I feel like because I started later, I feel like I have a richer, or like, like a more depth of like ideas and like energy, creative energy. It's like pent up from like all the years or whatever, or maybe not pent up, but you know, it's kind of weird, but like, you know, just like, I feel like when you're at a beginning stage, that's like one of the most open and exciting places you can be at the beginning of anything. Right. So I think that is what I appreciate now, of like starting way later, like already having a career and a degree in something else, like super unrelated. So yeah, that kind of relates to that. And then after doing the FIT thing, then I took the job in Portland as an analyst still. And then I continued the part-time design school. So then I went to Art Institute in Portland, and that was for industrial design. So then I kind of got the industrial, like FIT was a little bit more like the fashion side of things. And then ID is, you know, ID. So then that's where I studied industrial design. I kind of got more of like the process and like methodology of like ID. And then Pencil also. So shout out to Pencil, of course. PLC, now PLC.
PLC.
But I did Pencil. I think I did a class, like summer class there, like 8 weeks or something like that. In between work again. So I took like hella vacation days just to like to like do that class.
That's crazy.
So I did that, and then that eventually, I think I did that, and then I did a second class that was a really short one with Adidas. And then I think I was also at the same time like networking, because like, you know, through Pencil you meet other designers. And then that's what I would say I did like a mentorship project, or like I asked one of the designers to be like, if he was cool to be like my mentor, give me like a little project, just a little personal project, so I could like work with a designer, like a working designer, and just like have him like teach me stuff. And he was down. So like Eric Hernandez, actually is his name. He's a super cool guy. Great dude. So like, shout out to Eric too.
Still designing?
I believe he's like, I know he had like his own, or has, I believe, his own like design studio. Like had it for a while. Not sure. Like I haven't like touched base with him in a minute, but like, that's kind of, he was at Adidas for a while, and then went out and did his own thing. But so, you know, people like that give you like a little chance here and there to like try to support you and stuff. And then, that mentorship, then I applied for a job. That was like the first time I was like, okay, I'm kind of ready. I have my portfolio. And applied for a job. I didn't get it because I was told like, I didn't have the experience, you know? And it's one of those things where like that first job is like really hard, I feel like, in my experience. And I know others who've had similar things where it's like, oh, how do you get the first job? Because they want you to have experience, but how do you get experience if you like don't get the first job? You know what I mean? It's like that weird, like that weird cycle.
Definitely like that.
So so I did I got the no, and then like I was pretty bummed because I feel like the interview actually went really well, and like I connected with like the director like really well. He was like, oh, I really like your work, blah blah. And then you know, it's kind of like, then like I feel like I got ghosted or something. He was like, oh man, all this like excitement, and like it seemed like things were going the right way, and then just like, oh yeah, like no, you didn't get it. I was like, oh. You know, you just hear that from like HR or whatever, and I was like, oh, damn, like damn, nobody even told me like directly or something, you know. But it was cool because then later, it is a cold one. But it's cool because then later, like I don't know, 6 months later or 4 months later, something like that, he came up to like my desk because I was in Portland in the office, in the originals Adidas original studio was like downstairs.
Yeah.
So then my that Chris Law was his name.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris too. Amazing dude, like super
He does not listen
big,
to
like
this.
sneaker culture and stuff. But he then like he's the one who gave me like my first opportunity. So then he came up and was like, "Hey man, I know the full-time thing didn't work out, but like we got an internship if you're interested."
Sick.
And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's do it!" Like I'd love to do it. So that was my first like.
I don't want to take you back in the story, but did you graduate from Art Institute, or you just yeah you just
no man. No.
That's awesome. No, that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, oh, it sounds like you're just like, oh, you're just hitting a class here and there.
Yeah.
So like,
they were like super flexible because they would literally, because you got prereqs and stuff, like the typical like college thing.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Oh, you got to do art history and like whatever, right?
Gosh.
Which are like all like, valuable in their own right?
Yeah.
But like, when you're already working, you already have a career, you're trying to like, hey, I only have a limited amount of time. I'm taking vacations. I'm doing this, that. Like, I'm just trying to make it happen. Right. And like, for them not to hold me to like having to take all the prereqs was like super helpful. Cause then they were kind of like, hey man, if you got a credit card, like you can take whatever you want, type of thing. They were like, yeah.
So you like went into like you went to like administration. You're like, hey, look.
Yeah, they knew
this
I
is
was
the situation I'm trying to do, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Let me take this class. And they're like,
yeah, they were kind of like, well, they did like, all right, you have a portfolio, like, can you at least show us like what your level of like, design drawing and like, some of the fundamentals. And they also like, obviously too, looked at like my transcript from like my undergrad. Cause like in undergrad, you do some of those like liberal arts things that like might not relate to like, if, I was in finance. So like, I didn't have to take art history or whatever, but like, you did, you fill whatever your requirements are.
Right.
So they looked at that. They, I was like, hey, explain my story. I was like, hey, I already have an undergrad. So I have all these like, prereqs that you might need. Yeah. Is it okay? Like I'm a working professional, I was like, kind of pitching my case. Cause schools also want like to have people that are like in, corporate brands that are known. Cause you know what I mean? It's just like the alumni connection and all that stuff. Right. So I think that worked in my favor. In the sense that they were like, oh, okay, he has a really like great job already. Like he's a finance person at this big corporation, whatever. So I think they also saw it as like, oh, okay, cool. Like this can be like beneficial both ways. So they were like really flexible, which was cool. Cause then, they just let me jump around. They're like, what? Yeah. Semi. Not like I couldn't just be like, oh, let me take like advanced, like, advanced studio where I'm like in the machine shop. You know what I mean? Like they're like, I still had to take like things in order.
Yeah, like 300, 400 level stuff. They're permanent, but like, it doesn't make sense to not let you into
like ID thinking.
Yeah, like, that doesn't make any like. Yeah, of course you get in. Yeah, it doesn't. Hey, what I'm learning here is it doesn't hurt to ask.
yeah, honestly,
like, don't think the way's ever blocked. Is I guess what I'm saying is like, man, this is crazy. Like. I don't know why I never asked you about this, but
I mean, it's kind of good because you got to hear it for the first time.
Well, yeah, but it's like, I guess when you think people are in it, you think they're always in it. But I've always thought like you're someone who has like this personal style that's like different from like everyone else I've worked with. Like, there's like, I don't know, like.
That might just be like a New York thing. I don't know.
Oh no, it's like maybe it is New York. I'm like, I don't know, but like you have a taste level that's like really high.
Oh, thanks, man.
And I mean, obviously, and like we'll get to like, sketching and obviously building awesome stuff, but like just like I feel like sometimes designers you would like want to have like a fashion sense as well. And I'm like, man, Jon has that, but like. I know CPAs, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, hold on now. Like,
I mean, there's some fly CPAs now. I feel like I saw this like lawyer now. She like blew up on like TikTok and Instagram because she's like fly as fuck. Like she'll just be, she has like, obviously she got the money to afford like the like luxury things, but she's, there's some like fly. But yes, I agree. Cause I was an accountant and like style wasn't our like thing. People weren't pulling up in like fits to like be seen, so
all right, I see it now. Okay.
yeah so I don't really know where that came from. I'm sure it's just environment more than anything,
just like I mean it's also like when you're in it, like you just like I've evolved myself. Like if you would have saw me when I first got a job at Brooks, I don't know what I was wearing, but like as I progressed and like looked and like even when I went to Pencil and was around like I was around kids, like there was a guy from Canada, there was a gal from like like Denmark, and like it was like a mass, like just mashup of styles. There was a guy from Houston, super cool.
Dude, I met a guy from like
yeah,
Tasmania or something like that.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like because
that's
I did
so
like
cool.
World Sneaker Championships, so it was literally like,
oh yeah,
man, people, yeah, it was super cool. You just meet people like places you'd never even think of. Yeah,
and so it's like, yeah, like so a little bit that like rubs off me. Like I see someone like, man, they look fly. Like I'm gonna change my style up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like you know, you get into the sneaker world, and like I had that going on too, where I'm like, I'm just geeking out about stuff. But dude, that's crazy. All right. So that's how you got in. That's how you got to Adidas. You get the guy in Originals hooks you up with like a part-time or an internship.
No, it was like a full like 6-month internship.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So I had to like quit my job as like a senior financial analyst and like take an internship thing, which like, you know, hit the pockets a little bit. But, like,
I was like, that was my first thought. I was like, what's the one like there's like a meme going around? It's like, I will never financially recover from this. Man, that's crazy. I don't know if I would have been able to do it. Like, I mean, senior financial analyst at Adidas sounds like
oh, you're set. Like,
like, are you sure about this? You're about to do this for this. But yeah, so you made the jump.
Yeah. Made the jump. And like, I think, you know, I feel like I've had like managers and or just like other people that I've worked within my proximity, you know, like I don't work directly with them, but like I see how they work and stuff. Yeah. I think there's, you know, obviously like everywhere is like, you know, people that, you know, are helpful or like not helpful when you're trying to do something. And then thankfully the two managers that I had, the one in New York and the one other manager in Portland, they were like my finance managers, but they were like supportive. So like when I took that jump, you know, my manager at that time was like, hey, you know, like, you know, this is a big move. Like we have to we have to hire somebody for your spot. Cause like, you know, we can't have like somebody leave for 6 months and like, you know, not have support. And it was like a pretty important role too for that team, for the business, you know? So yeah, so I took that leap and then that was my first design internship, like 6 months in Adidas Originals. And then that led, thankfully things went well. And like that led into like my first like full-time role on the same like team.
Right.
Yeah.
Man. And then I guess the last question on that is like, how was your family? Like, cause you were talking about how like they wanted you to get the job.
Oh,
the like super structured job that you did all your schooling for. Like, were they cool with that? I don't know. You don't have to tell me. Like, that's family.
That's a fair question. No, it was a fair question. I think like, I mean, it was really like my mom was, you know, I mostly grew up with her. So like, she was the one that was really strict with like my sister about like career stuff. Yeah. But she was cool because it was like, oh, he already has a degree. Like you already got, you know, you got your CPA license, you're an analyst, like you got the things covered. So I think at that point she was, and I wasn't even living like in New York anymore. So I was already across the country doing, you know, I think when I did that, obviously she like wasn't very happy about me leaving necessarily, or like not happy. Like I think just, you know, she obviously like wanted us to be like in the same state or like living closer to each other. So that was the thing that was like difficult and still is difficult for me.
Right.
But yeah, she would, you know, like she was like, all right, you already got the backup kind of, you know what I mean? Like if something doesn't work out, you can go back and be a accountant or a financial analyst, like anywhere, like you're, you know, it's fine. So I think in that sense, maybe if I would have like done it from the jump, I think maybe there would have been some friction, but like my thought is that because I already did it and I got the degree, like showed that to her, like, hey, like you're good. Like I'm, you know,
and you got the big job.
Yeah. So I think she was just like, oh, he's good. Like whatever you want to do at that point, like do you kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's it's a path that not many take, but that's pretty awesome. But yeah, and I think I'd be the same way. Like, let him flex this muscle, see what happens, and yeah, it works out, huh? That's awesome, man. Sick. Well, what we got? What are we looking at in the timer? 44. I tried to tell John before we got going, like, this is gonna go fast.
Yeah.
It's gonna go really fast.
I feel like we spent the first like 20 minutes just talking about your sign. So like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it does go by fast because
Hey,
when you're having a good time, and
look,
like just
the sign's cool. All right.
it's a great sign.
It's a great sign.
It's a great
I do
sign.
not know who made it. It came from, like, when I saw the FedEx thing pop up, it was like India, and I was like,
oh.
Well, the company I ordered it for is based in South Carolina, so I don't know what's going on,
dude.
It's like, just, hey, it's one time where Google came through. I just Googled it, ordered it, and it was done. I was like, decent.
Decent. That's the result that you want. Just click on decent.
Well, I literally, dang it, my eye. Literally, like, it came in like just crazy wrapped, and I was like, I like took forever just to cut through to find it, and I was like, cool. Definitely looked like something that came from far away, because like, they wrapped the crap out of it. Like, I mean, when like shoe sample boxes come in, like those are like double corrugated. Like it's like it's intense.
That's funny. The other funny thing, a podcasty thing that like I thought was funny when you started talking. I feel like it was a little surreal because like seeing you on like YouTube, because I saw like the Lee episode, let's say, for example, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, and some of the things you say in the beginning, like everybody who does content has like their thing in the beginning, like their phrase or whatever. Like when you started, I was like, oh damn, it's like I saw that on video now. Like seeing you do that in person, it was like kind of surreal. And I feel like you have a little bit of like a podcast voice, like like we're talking like this whole time, and then like there's like a subtle switch. We're like, oh okay, you got like you put the little smooth filter on your voice. I noticed it when I was like listening to Lee's thing. I was like, this man sounds like that. Like,
do I really?
You have a little bit of podcast.
I try to like
thing, it's just like,
I try to like speak like I normally speak, but like obviously, I mean, some of the stuff we talked about on the way over in the car, like I would not talk about on the pod. But
well, yeah, like content is one thing, but it's just funny the tone of voice and like, you know what I mean.
Try not to blow everyone's ears out on the, but no, I'm trying to be me. I don't know.
No, you are you. It's just fine. I'm just like,
that's all good.
So, yeah,
I feel that. Sweet, dude. Let's rock into the hot ones. So the idea is, everyone, I hope most people, there's been a lot of views on hot ones. I don't even know if I can say hot ones.
What do you mean, like legally?
Yeah.
Sean Evans gonna come after you. There's like, hey man, don't say my name.
There's like, hey. No, I mean, we can say Nike and Adidas. I'm sure.
Imagine they like sue you because you're like using their format.
Well, it's adjacent.
Just
the second you take a bite of your shoe, I think we're gonna be in trouble.
Put some sauce on it.
Yeah. So what it is so I think it's interesting. Again, since we're in person, we can do stuff like this. It's better, I would say, better in person than it would be remote. And so hopefully our next other guests will do the same thing. It's actually John's idea, so I'm going to give credit for where credit's due. Is the sketching thing, I'm going to give credit to my wife, because that was awesome. It's like hit us one night and she was like, why don't you just both sketch at the same time on camera? And I'm like, I really want to do that. And anyway, but hot ones, so I think it's just so cool that each shoe has a story, right? John's done a lot of work, and a lot of it has built him as a person, built him as a designer. That's kind of how it is. I think each one you do, like, you grow a little bit and you learn a little bit more and you learn a little bit more. Actually, like, having watched John work, I'm excited to hear a little bit more about the perspective, because I watched it, but it's not like I'm over here being like podcast format. Yo, John, what you doing right now? Hey man, tell me about that line you just put down. Other than I would just see him in the office, be like, yo, dude, the Agil looks sick, or like, hey, saw this, it looks fly. But no, so we're basically just going to go down the line, as many as John wants to do. And we'll talk about it. And yeah, it should be pretty fun. Probably better for the YouTube audience, even though I'm putting the video on Spotify too. But Yeah,
Nice.
like and subscribe, YouTube. Tech backs are due. All right. Which one you want to do?
All right.
Grab
So
and
I think we could just start kind of in order. Maybe this one.
all right.
And I didn't bring. I told you earlier. I like didn't bring two of the shoes that I really wanted to bring.
Yeah.
I was just like scrambling when I left, and like I also did not like prep for this at all. So like, it just helped me out, like to what exactly should be said. But I think I can like more where I was at in my career, like during this time, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
So I think we covered all the way up to internship full time. Then that becomes a job.
Yeah.
Is that in basketball or is
That was
that
in originals?
okay?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this is in the area of that timeline.
Yeah.
But
yeah, this was.
then maybe that can just take you through, like, I mean, just tell us about what we're looking at, because
Okay. Like about the shoe specifically or my time? Okay.
tell me about the shoe.
Okay, so this was like I think like okay, so I did my internship and then I think this was during like the kind of like I think I started working on stuff like this, the whole like boost you wear, feet you wear like concept.
Yeah.
Started working on that I think when I was like at the end of my internship and like first few months of like full-time thing. So there was the shoe that I didn't bring was like the one that I think is really memorable for me because it was like my first like uh lifestyle performance like hybrid thing.
Right.
But this one that I did bring was
that's not here, but we can all imagine it.
Yeah, imagine it.
Beautiful.
It's like it's in the same concept. It's in the same family of shoes, all like the decoupled boost stuff. Like,
legit. So I'm not the only one who keeps samples on samples.
Nah, because it's like you gotta. It's like when you keep like I don't know, like old photographs of you as a kid. You know what I mean? Like it's just that's how I feel like. But I was like, oh. I mean, I don't know how deep that is, but like that's kind of how I felt. Like, oh, you just want to have a memory of like each time,
right?
So that's kind of what these are. So this one was like my second season, I think, in originals. So yeah, these like this concept was like really fun, interesting, and like challenging in a sense, like technically, just from like mold stuff and whatever. But yeah, this was a fun time because this one like just kind of reminds me of my first team in Adidas Originals. So like like I said, like my director, that was like I don't know, probably the most fun I've had so far, just in terms of like on a interpersonal level. Like it was pretty much a brand new team because there wasn't like an original team in Portland for a long time before that.
Right.
So it was kind of a new team, like, and everybody was just fairly also new in their careers, I think, on that team. So yeah, it was a really dope time. Like I think that was my first experience as like a full-time designer. It was like everything was, I don't know, it just felt very like natural and everything felt easy in a sense. Like there wasn't a lot of like tensions within like our process. Everybody felt like we were kind of on the same page, like without saying words, it was just a very like, I don't know, just everybody meshed together really like intuitively. So that was really cool because
that is cool.
It just felt like everybody actually like wanted to be around each other and like wanted to like, go hang out, go whatever after work, or you know what I mean? Like, so that was really dope. And it felt like a very like family vibe, but I think also because it was my first job, so I was like, oh, this is like your work parents and stuff, like people mentoring you and stuff. So this shoe reminds me of that time, which was cool. And the other one that I mentioned also was just like a really cool like first couple of years getting to work on like really interesting stuff from like that category. It was like lifestyle basketball, so that just happened to be that like I was there at the right time to work on that team, and then what that mission was, so this was like I think fall winter 18 or something. This is like a prototype. I don't think this was like a finished shoe yet, but it's pretty close. But yeah, that's
legit. There is something to like there's something to a like the team thing, like for people who are in footwear. I'm looking at some people in footwear who might watch the show. I don't know who that is. Some people in footwear watch this.
I know Lee will watch this.
Hey Lee.
What's up, Lee?
Something that's interesting though, like there is like there's a big difference between a functional team and a team that's not functional. Like, and you have to be on both to like understand like the the uncomfortable nature of it and like how it affects creativity and versus when it's all flowing and everything's good, or even like, it's fine to have like sections of the team that's like working and like that's sometimes how it is. Like maybe it's not the whole team is like dysfunctional, but it is interesting how that like just affects like creativity or how like a good manager or a good director or someone who has like just a vision of something, like anything can take like a team to the next level, or like you said, like everyone was on the same page without saying it. I think that's pretty awesome. Dude, this looks good. I'm like trying to like make sure we get like shots of it and stuff. I'm guessing this is all in the same,
those two are the same like concept,
in the same vein. Yeah, dude. Any features you want to talk about, or you want to do the next one?
No, I mean, unless you have any questions about anything, but
I mean, every bit of it makes me interested, but I'm like, I don't want to not get to something else.
I'll leave that part to you. Like if you if you want me to talk about anything in particular about a shoe, like I'll just let you ask. But yeah.
No, that's cool. I think my favorite part right now is the zigzag rubber.
Yeah, it was like a herringbone, like interpretation of herringbone, basically. Yeah.
It's fun how like something can be, it's been around forever, but you can just reinterpret it a little bit.
Yeah.
It gives it like kind of a futuristic little vibe.
Actually, yeah, I think that's a good thing that I learned about design through like this team in particular, because a lot of the kind of ethos is like past meets future,
Right.
And yeah, I think that's a lot of what how do I want to say this? I feel like sorry, I feel like it's hard to like know what's like futuristic or what's like modern without knowing like what's like the past, So I think this is the time where I learned that, where I was like, oh, cool, like context is important. Like you don't know history a little bit, like you don't know what's like the future if you don't know like anything before it,
Right.
So I think this was like teaching me that in a way, like very indirectly.
Man. Okay.
Yeah. Was that like a design bar? Is that what you're doing? Right
yeah. I was like, oh. Okay, that's sick. Man, you could talk about that more and I would be loving that. Yeah, it's like, yeah. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. Right through.
Yeah.
So this one, I had a fun memory of, because this one was like another season or two after that one. And this one was like, I think I was on some, I don't know if mission's probably not the right word, but I think I was always just trying to move things like progressively forward, like whatever that meant for me at the time. And like, to me, I think at that time it was like, I don't know, just more so on like the function of things and like how to do those and like how to achieve like certain forms, but then in like a way that still feels like it's functional, because this was still like a purely lifestyle show, so we didn't really have to worry about like as much of like performance testing on this particular. There's other projects that we did with like hybrid, and you did kind of have to like figure all that out,
right? But
here we're a little more free to like be expressive and whatever. And I think this was like, on the more extreme side of like what I was doing at the time. And it didn't release, I think, for that reason, because it was like maybe a little too like wild for what that shoe needed to be,
Right.
But this was a cool learning, just because like I was like super excited about it and thought it was like really cool, because it's just like feels like crazy and like just I don't know, just has like a energy to it. But then it like wasn't right, like it didn't go anywhere, because like it was just the feedback was just like, oh yeah, it's like maybe too progressive for like what it needs to be. So like that was the first time where I was like, oh cool, like it was the first, I think, shoe that I did, or like tooling that I worked on specifically, that didn't go anywhere, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this could happen. Like I thought we just like
Yeah.
make everything. You know what I mean? Like, so that was kind of cool because I like learned that can happen, and learned, like when you push it too far sometimes for that purpose, like then it's just you don't
Yeah.
really get where you need to go. But it was also dope because then the upper still got used, and this upper was then like they used it on like a Pharrell thing. I think it
Nice.
was like 2019 or something like that. I forgot, but
Nice.
but that was cool to see them like. I think like the Statement team was doing stuff at the time, so that was cool just to like be a part of that, like without being in that room. You know what I mean? But
Right.
just to have
Right.
some work, like having like I guess like additional collaborative component to it, that
Right.
like I didn't know about nor like had any part in, but
So
that was cool.
yeah.
So
So someone just like picked this out and just said,
yeah,
"Hey,
like,
this is
oh,
this is
cool.
sick."
Let's use this for this. Yeah.
Oh man.
I think that was like cool about original at the time. Like I think our like yeah, just the mode of working, and like everybody from like the VP down to like the junior designers, everybody was kind of like mixing ideas, and like
Mm-hmm.
it was just like I think in that sense it was really great because it was like there was no how do I put this? Ownership of a project was okay to be shared. Like it wasn't like, oh, this is my project, this is my like, nah,
Right.
this is our design. So like it could be that I forgot who said it, but somebody was like, oh yeah, like it's probably a better design if like more than one person can claim it and say like, oh yeah, I worked on that,
Oh,
because it's
interesting.
just like the idea of collaboration was like so high that like it's perceived better than when you have multiple people working on the same thing. And that was sort of this like working ethos that we use. So
Wow.
everything from like the way that we sketch, we would just like take pics of other people's sketches, sketch on top of that, just like all that type of
Right.
like working culture. That was really dope. And
Man.
that's something that like that's kind of why I work the way I work now. It's
Yeah.
just because of a lot of stuff that I learned then. So
Man, I haven't. You've said a lot right there that I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about. Oh man. Number one, like this. I think I've seen these other ones. This to me is like really cool because I think maybe that's what I'm missing in my career is like I haven't had that moment where I just got to be like ultra expressive.
mm-hmm.
Um I think I came in with that kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think in pencil, I was allowed to kind of go for it. But like this kind of project, like I don't think exists. Like it doesn't exist in my portfolio where I'm like, man, I wonder where I'd be today if like I actually got a chance to like do something a little
more
like
out there.
yeah, a little more out there. But like now I'm looking at this and I'm like, this doesn't seem out there. Like
Like by today's standards, you're like, oh, this could
yeah, I'm
like,
like, oh shoot, like this is good. And like yeah, I'm gonna make sure this sees the camera. And another thing is I think I mean, man, you're doing so many cool stuff. Like I mean, the outsole for me, I really geek out on toolings and stuff. And this thing just seems like just intense. It looks like they have to um, like, do they need this shank for like stock fitting, like to get everything to like be together?
Yeah, it's like part that, part just like stability too.
Yeah.
Like you still need.
And then this one's just completely separated.
Yeah, it's like 3 separate pieces.
Man. And they just do their best shot at lining it up. Like,
yeah, I mean,
getting this on.
Yeah,
like on the last.
This is like the this is where the craft comes into the people who actually make the stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and every brand has like their where they get things made, and like yeah, I mean we were making some pretty complex stuff that like looking back I'm like, oh yeah, like some things were just like overly complicated.
Right.
Like, but again, it's like trying to find new things, and especially from a lifestyle point of view, that's where these things were, right? These were all like lifestyle basketball shoes. So like
right,
you have some more I guess like runway to try things. So
exactly. And like I mean, this like, for lack of a better phrase, like it looks like something I mid-journeyed, like but it like but
that the pre-mid journey.
Yeah, man, like you had that kind of mind going in, and that's awesome. And then that team dynamic, that's something I've never heard before, and I'm gonna have to think about it, like that everyone shares like ownership.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I haven't experienced
well, not everyone, but like,
but yeah, but like,
yeah, it's like that spirit, right? Like you can, more than one person can be like, yeah, design something, and that happens a lot on like other things, like innovation projects and whatever, right? Where like, just the sheer like time that it takes to get something, like multiple people have to work on it.
Right.
But I did appreciate that, because it's like it takes a lot of the ego out of it, even though there's still egos, obviously, like for in general, like people and designers or whatever, like you're always gonna have that, right?
Right.
But like that was a cool way of like getting rid of that to a degree,
Right. Man, I like it. I like it a lot.
Who says that? I like somebody. There's like that's like a person. Like somebody said that, right? Like I like it. Like the way you said it. Was that like a reference to a movie or something?
I
like
know, but no, I think that's like a Jim Carrey thing, or like
maybe. Yeah. It's somebody that the way you said it was like so familiar. It's like,
but yeah, no, I really, man, I dig that. This is, man, I appreciate this is awesome. Okay, I hope everyone realizes, like, when I get like that way where I don't know what to say, it's like because I'm in my brain, I'm like, oh man, like this might affect me. Like the way I yeah, like I'm changing right now. Well, man, now that I know that you're a certified CPA, or you were certified.
Yeah, I think it like has to get renewed every so often.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not certified anymore.
Crap.
In the state of New York. No.
Oh man. All right. Well, so this was a time.
Yeah.
How long were you at Adidas?
Well, not like design wise.
Yeah, design wise. Not analytics. Analyst wise.
What was that? Maybe like 5 years.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Something like
was
that.
Was this when was this?
Oh, that was like, shoot,
just like
maybe like 2020, I think, or no, 20, yeah, like somewhere in like 2019, 2020.
I'm like, I relate most of Adidas through when the whole Kanye stuff happened. Like, I'm like, where does this intertwine?
It started, in that era, and then like, they had their version of feet you wear and stuff.
Yeah, right. So, I had some feet you wear when I was a kid too.
Dude, that was like,
and I was like,
oh yeah,
sick.
Right. Yeah. That actually just reminded me, that was a big reason why these concepts were like meaningful to me, and why I thought like, oh, it's just the like, I don't know, like serendipity, or what's the other word? Like it's just, I don't know, whatever. Things are like meant to be, but no, like things are meant to be type of thing. Cause like Kobe was like my favorite like player, like growing up and stuff. And like, and he, was an Adidas athlete for a time, and he had the feet you wear. So like that, like me being able to work on that concept was just like really dope, because it was literally like, oh wow, like I got to have a part.
I mean, you got to put the face on it.
Oh yeah, the little the little face. We were excited about that little Freddy the Foot face.
Freddy the Foot.
That was his name.
I love it. Freddy the Foot, man. I didn't know he had a name. I think that was his name from the beginning, right? Freddy the Foot.
I think so. Yeah. That was like his. That was the name of the logo. Like,
yeah, maybe I did know that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Legit. All right. So this is a time, and then you move in to Brooks, and you go straight to athlete. How does someone see you? Like that's what kind of blew my mind, is like, well, honestly, when I just saw, like, anyone who sees like Adidas stuff, like they were taking the black and white pictures of like employees, and I guess when I saw, like, I think everyone knew you had applied or something, and then I like, oh, I'm gonna look at like, Google stalk this guy, and I see you with the black and white like Adidas picture, and like with a boost you wear like shoe, and I was like, or a feet you wear shoe, and I was like, oh man, he's probably legit. Like he just kind of like, oh man, that guy's probably legit. And then he's coming on, I'm like, oh man, like this just takes everything up a notch, like kind of a thing. That's cool. So I was just like, I didn't even bat an eye that you got like this athlete position. Because literally, I don't know if you know this, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. Like literally, like I was in innovation. They booted me out into inline. Jon is who fills the piece.
Damn. You say they kicked you out?
Well,
to make room for.
No, it wasn't like, it wasn't kicked me out. It was like, it needed change for my career. Like, it was like, I've been in innovation like through COVID, and I was just like, it was rough, and I like didn't know what was going on. There wasn't a lot of structure. And so there was like, hey, let's move you over inline, and then you can like get some more product out. And I was like, oh, sick. And like, I didn't know it, but it was a really smart move. And it was great. And I went right into like Ghost Max, Hyperion. Like I went into some fun stuff.
Big shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is great. This is like, and it just worked. And like, it worked for my career. Everything was awesome. But it's just funny to like, I moved over here, and then the person that fills the space is you. And I'm like, man. And I mean, again, I didn't bat an eye, because I was like, this dude's legit. Like
that
Adidas,
black and white photo,
Adidas feet you wear, black and white photo crap.
Yo, they did those for like the whole company. And,
I know.
And I really appreciated it, because like I otherwise wouldn't have had like a professional looking like photo for my profile picture.
Man.
So I used that for like so many years. It was like that's one of the best things I got out of my time at Adidas was that picture.
Yeah.
It's so useful.
Yeah. It sends a message, and I don't know, maybe that was the whole idea behind it. But anyway, so you're in, like, man, now you're in it. And did you know going in, like, the assignment, like, did you know what you were going to do? Did you have any idea like what was about to happen? Because it's, in my eyes, like, pretty legendary in the running world, like what's happened with what you've done. Like, I don't know if you know, like athletes, just like what you've done for Brooks, and the things that you've put out, the designs that you've made, the impact that it's had is like, it's a pretty big deal. Like,
no, I appreciate that.
I mean, part of the tech packs are do is I'm calling out things that are actually happening. Like this actually happened.
Actually,
like, I don't know. So like, I guess when we go into this guy, like, obviously, I mean, talk about it, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say, because in my eyes, the way I saw it, maybe I won't say this. Maybe I won't butter you up before. maybe I won't set this up for you. I'd rather just hear you talk about it, but I'm excited to hear what you say, because I know what I think. And I know the history, but I want to hear how like that transition from Adidas to this and all that.
No, I appreciate that.
But anyway,
you're like really good at like complimenting people. So like, yeah, thanks.
It's because I largely think most people are better than me.
This is your humility coming through. I appreciate that, man.
Or I'm masking it under humor.
Yeah.
Whatever
like
the crap
you're
I'm
like
doing.
Super cocky, but you're like, just coming off very like humble.
Like, hey, no, like, I think
nobody's onto you.
No, it's more that I think I have this like thing where I don't know if I belong
that's
here,
like,
so much.
That's a very common.
I mean, there's
designer thing.
Yeah, there's like imposter syndrome and all that stuff. But
yeah,
I more just think like the more people I meet, the less good I think I am. Like the more designers I talk to, I'm like, holy cow, like. And it is just like different skill sets, different personalities. It's right place, right time. There's all that stuff. But more often than not, I'm like, man, there's just some ultra creative people. And I'm like, how am I stepping up to the plate? Like, how do I come in and how do I contribute? It's stuff like that. So it's like, anyway, a little bit of a tangent there, but I want to hear, I want to hear it from you.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Doing great on time.
Where we at?
We're doing great.
What's the time?
An hour 13.
Oh, whoa, nice.
Hey,
after the 45, that from here is like we made a lot of steps.
Let's do it.
Yeah, like, okay, so but first, just to that, I think that's a generally good. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, like, that's just the way that everybody is their own way in their head, like in terms of comparison, right? Like, I think humility is really good, but I think, you know, I like to believe that on some level you also like know your value and know your like skill level, ability, you know what I mean? And like I'm just projecting, but I'm like,
Right.
you know, I think that, you know, you've obviously done some like really great work. So like, you know, hopefully you also like keep that in mind too, you know, as you're
Right.
like seeing all these people. Cause like it's really easy to compare, and a lot of that is inherent to like what we do, right? Because it's like we're in
Yeah.
sports. Literally, the point is to compete, and you're like trying to like, you know what I mean? Like you're always trying to be better than yourself, or you're trying to beat something, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I think just again, even this stuff that you're doing here with the thing, like
Yeah.
it's you're growing, you're like doing all this stuff. So like, you know, commend you for that.
Yeah. One last thing. It's like, it actually did take a certain level of like my wife had to say it. You know what I'm saying? Like it took like outside influence to say like, to realize like how far I had come, like from day one to, you know, 9 years now. Like it took a long time to even like think like, oh, you know, I can contribute at this high of a level.
Yeah.
Like I don't even realize I didn't know it was even happening. You know, like,
Yeah.
and then no one's like going through with like a little check mark saying like, oh yeah, okay, this guy can, you know, do a VP like everybody else can do. This guy can, like, and no one's like patting you on the back or like, hey, like you did this, you can do this thing now. Like, and it was like not until again, like this whole switch, like when you come in is like, I realized like, man, working under Ross for like 3 years, like Ross Damon doesn't watch the show, but if he ever does,
he doesn't watch.
Doesn't watch most of these people.
It's long form, you know.
Yeah, we shout these people out, but no one knows. No one knows.
Yeah, they're never gonna see this.
Maybe
except for Lee. He will watch this.
But you know what might end up happening is this might take off and people start watching. But so what I'm trying to say is like you there's like nothing. There's like there's no one doing that. Like, and that's another part of this podcast where it's like, hey, dude, like you rock. Like,
thanks, man.
Everyone, hey.
Thanks.
But so like, once I got the second job, of course I realized, oh crap, like, well, I actually can be a footwear designer, not just at one place. I can do it here, and I can apply the same skills, and boom, 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 design.
Yeah, I mean, positive reinforcement is important, right? Like, I think it's just like any relationship, right? Like, if you're not complimenting your partner, your friend, like if you're not big, you got big people up. Like if you're not, then like, you're not, you might question like, oh, you know, like if you didn't, not that you need a pat on the back for everything, but like, you know, you do need some form of like affirmation that like you're going the right direction, or you're like doing great. Like, yo, you did a great ass job at this, whatever thing. Like, that's good to hear. Like, you know, I think some people like, you know, in design, like, in the like field of study of design, I think like people try to keep the subjective, like, things like, oh, I like that, that's cool, like, you know, you can try to keep that thing out of it, which is like not a bad thing to do that, like critique standpoint, right? But then I think it kind of bleeds over sometimes to like, oh yeah, you like, it's just good to like say good nice things to you, like compliment. You know what I mean? Like I said, like you're a really good like like complimenter, you know what I mean? Like you'll say something like, oh damn, like wow, you're like, you know what I mean? Like damn, making me blush, man. Like but so then to get into this stuff, so yes, you asked if I knew what I was getting into. I did to a degree. Because like that was the main thing that was really interesting about the opportunity, was like, oh, it's against a new team, newly formed. So that was already like, oh shoot, like I like that. And then also
newly formed, like, because I was leaving.
So like, you know, that it was exciting from that standpoint. And also it was working with athletes, which like after originals, then I worked in basketball, and like even in originals, we worked on performance stuff. Like we would collaborate with like engineers from like the performance team to like get our stuff that was like more lifestyle, I guess like from a lifestyle lens, and then get it to like perform. So I had already started like on the performance thing, and again, like back to my inventor days, like that was kind of what I really was interested in also, even though I really love doing lifestyle stuff too, but like the performance thing was interesting. And then working in basketball was like getting even closer with the athletes, and like just taking that one step further with Brooks was like, oh, you're like the team, like there's nobody else that does this at Brooks, like so that was really dope. And then yeah, I knew it was focused on that, so I was already like ready for that. I think the thing that was challenging, well, that
We're good.
screen's blinking.
We're good.
The thing that was challenging with that was like just the amount, like the quantity and the quantity of projects, to handle at the same time.
My gosh.
That was like really challenging because it was like, oh yeah, we need like a whole collection, and it's like for kind of working on multiple projects at the same time, more than what I was like usually used to, and from what I understand, more than like what's kind of the norm, and it all needed to be like, it was like in preparation for like the Olympics. So like that was already like, like, oh shoot, you just like hear that and you're like, oh shoot, there's a little bit of pressure, there's a little bit of like expectations, and then I feel like with every shoe, I always like take a pretty big swing if it's like, possible. Cause I think that's kind of most of the projects that I've worked on or have like either a performance or lifestyle reason to like take a bigger swing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that's, I guess, to keep going on the line, like this was the first shoe that I worked on at Brooks. And this was a trail shoe, and this was really dope because actually like we went to go and visit the athletes in Chamonix because there was like the Marathon du Mont Blanc was there.
Right.
So I went to go there in like the Alps and like just even from like a personal like travel type of thing, like so beautiful.
Right.
Like, I was like, when was I ever going to be in the Alps? You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't for this job, like when was I really was not ever going to go like on some personal like, oh, let me go like check out the French Alps or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't really in my like agenda or list, but yeah, so this was really cool because like, yeah, the experience of it. And also I got to like work with some Spanish athletes. So like talking to athletes in Spanish I was like, oh shoot, yes, I'm finally like using Spanish like in my job. Like that was really dope.
That's cool.
So yeah, so that was really cool. And like, yeah, being on my first like thing at Brooks, it was like also figuring out a lot of the like, I don't know, things that were very different about brand to brand, like, and running a sport to sport too. Like, runners are very different than like from like what they want and need and like, a level of like specificity of like technical needs, that's like, I feel like from my experience so far, it's like there's a spectrum of that from like what the athlete needs.
Right.
For runners, it's like at the far end of the spectrum for what I would say. So yeah, so this was cool because it was like very limiting in a sense because like weight, it was the first time where I ever had to like worry about weight because like all these shoes, like, like weight is not like the main thing, but in running that's such a big focus. So like it's like, oh, can't even have a pull tab on there because it's like a couple grams. Like, do we really need it? No, strip that out.
Yeah.
I had all these like underlays and stuff and like, things that were like interesting to me to like construct. But in the end, it's like, how do you like really distill that into like the simplest thing that you can. So,
right.
So yeah, so this was like a cool example of just like working with new people, like new personalities, all that stuff. And this was like a fun time because it was just like my first project with a new brand. And yeah, there were some interesting things about like peripheral vision that we thought about. But like, yeah, overall, that was kind of like the bookmark of my first project at Brooks.
That's crazy to think this was the first. I was like, I guess I had it mixed up. I thought something else. I thought like the spikes were somehow before, but
no, because this was like a new upper project. So it was like, oh, this will be like my transition into Brooks. Like that's like how they positioned it. Like, oh, bet, let's just give them like a new upper to do something like not as intense. And I think I was also working on a training shoe at the time, but that like never went anywhere.
Right.
But this was like supposed to be like my sort of easy transition kind of project. Just to like get on the ramp instead of just like going straight into like flying.
Yeah. Was any of this, like you talked about the transition from like even just the consumer is like super different. Did any of that, was any of that hard or, what part of that was like ultra different, like, cause this, I mean, yeah, it's like you're going from, not that these don't perform, but this is a different level of performance.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Very different.
Especially when you're talking about like Chamonix, you're talking about, ultras and lots of distance running and, what was like, cause you even talked about like, you couldn't put some stuff in it. Like, um, what's that transition like?
Um, a little. It was it was good because I learned how to try to get like a impactful message across in like the like simplest way possible within like what the brand needs, and what the athlete needs.
Right.
But I think it was a little frustrating too, because like, you go from like kind of being able to be like really expressive and like there's not as many parameters, but then like you go to a project that's like so many parameters and like people that are used to working in those parameters, and then you're not used to working in the parameters, so then you have a little bit of friction because you're like, oh well, like, this is the way I do it, but then there's other people saying, well, this is the way that we do it here, and you're trying to learn like what does the brand, what's like the brand's point of view on like performance versus like what's your own aesthetic, what's your own like your own view on performance, so you try to find like a good middle ground, and you kind of learn from both sides. Like they learn stuff from you, you learn stuff from them, and that's why I think this was like a good transition project, because it was like, that tooling was carryover for the most part, like as a like overall geometry. Like the stack height was already set, the outsole was like, I don't know, it's 60% done kind of thing. So there were some parts to it that were like kind of done. The plates weren't there. Like, oh, that was all stuff that we had to do like after. But that was the hard part, was like new people, I think was like really difficult in terms of, well, not really difficult, but was the first time having to work with new people because I had only known like one job.
Right.
So, and those were like, it was like my, like, oh, my first like work family. So it was like very easy and whatever. And I was like, oh, now you go to somewhere, this place totally different. You already have your like way of doing things, and they have their way of doing things. So now you're like trying to figure it out,
Oh man.
So that I would say was like the personalities, like just being like, it helps a lot to be like really empathetic, really like just trying to be like an understanding person, because then you just, you're not, they're like little frustrations. They're not like, you don't hit a wall. It's just like, oh, okay, all right, fine, I can't do that. You compromise here, like you just got to figure out how to like make things work and like, and get to like a good spot still in the end. So I think that was kind of an interesting learning, was like, yeah, working with new people, new personalities, a new brand that had point of view on like, yeah, what performance was and what it looked like specifically. I think those are the main things, honestly, because like everything else is like, from a technical standpoint, is different, yeah, obviously, than like what I was doing before, like running and like technical trail running. And this type of product is very niche because it's like short distance, like almost like a sprint spike for the trail, basically. So yeah, all that stuff was like new, but that's the stuff that for me is always like fun and like interesting, and like I love getting into that. And there's not a lot of friction there because I just like, oh yeah, just it's a whole nother world I can like explore and study and like understand, and get super nerdy on like the technical things that I love to do. But like, yeah, then just like how who you're working with to like bring it to life is like an interesting learning.
Yeah. And I've always loved the branding. I feel like that was the one thing. I'm gonna put this. I feel like you kind of flipped it on its head a little bit with the stripes. I love that they split in the middle. I don't know. This is one of those ones where I'm like, man, I don't know if you've had any shoes where you're like, I wish I did that one. Like, oh man, I wish that was mine. Like, I love the style.
So the thing that I really appreciate about this project and keeping those where they were and like the stripes, so that was like this, when we started this project, I think Brooks, well, I probably can't say this part, but there was like some there was some exploration around like how does athlete vision work. And so I got into this whole like rabbit hole of like how does athlete vision work on the trail. And so these were sort of like what my concept was, or my theory was like peripheral vision on the trail when you're going up really steep inclines is like important. And I was doing like some studies, or like researching some studies around like peripheral vision for like athletes, like Formula One drivers and like badminton players and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's the whole purpose for having that like striped graphic, is like when you're wearing the shoe, the idea was like, could a peripheral graphic marker that like doesn't catch dirt. So that was the other important thing, was like everything else on the shoe gets muddy. I mean, you've worked on like trail stuff. So like everything else on the shoe gets muddy, but like when you have a slick surface, like you still see it even when you're like in the mud, So that was like the reason for those stripes and like the way that they are from a toe down and the split and everything and the visibility is like all very like intentional with like a performance thing in mind, but then like, you just try to make them look also like aesthetically, you know, appealing. But I liked that idea, even though it was like, I don't know if that really is how it works. but you know, you try
right.
Things, right? Yeah.
It's stuff that's like that. It's like, well, that story's not gonna. Does that story get told?
No.
Dang it.
No.
Well, that's cool, man. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. This was. Yeah, where we at?
We're rolling. We're still good. We're at an hour and a half.
Sick, dude. We're flying.
We got a lot to get to in 30 minutes, but we can make it roll.
Yeah, we can go pretty quick through these. Do we need a break? Do we need a little water break or something? Or how you feeling?
I'm holding up well, but if I yawn, it's just because I am tired.
I'm trying my best not to like yawn either. Because you know when you see somebody yawn, you like makes you yawn, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
I don't want it to seem that I'm not bored.
Hey man, I know because we were working on this whole setup for like hours, so I'm tired too. So it's all good.
Yeah. All right. Good. We got this.
We got this. All right. Yeah, last two. So I'll go quick through these. This one was a cool memory for me because it was the like kind of head of the collection, I would say, in most of like our minds when we were making these the like first athlete collection for Brooks. This is our like 1500 meter like long distance spike, and specifically like Josh Kerr being like the person that we were like we worked with all the Brooks beasts, like the entire like track and field team, but I think like Josh, knowing like he had, you know, he was already an Olympian, like we really had like high expectations for him again too, in Paris. And yeah, this was really cool because we also like, for me, it was my first time designing a track spike in general. Like I'd worked with plates before, so that was like a good thing to carry over. But yeah, other than that, it's like a whole different beast and a whole like totally different from anything I'd ever done before, like technically speaking, you know.
Yeah.
It's a whole different sport, and it's a very like specific type of sport that has like high demands and stuff. So this was cool because like, you know, I think doing the whole like approaching it in a way that's like specific to the sport, to specific to the event and like the environment, right, that it's in. So it's like the thing that I was most excited about with these is like, I didn't have shit about the other one, but yeah, like with these, we did this like double ASIM thing where like if you're always going left around a track, like you want to like the torque and the like the centrifugal forces, one of those two are always tired too, are also like moving in different directions. So like yeah, just that like again, these little like nerdy like technical things that I like really am interested in is something that we were able to do with these. So I thought that was really fun. And then, yeah, just working with the athletes like super close on this. And like, yeah, you and VJ. Oh, yeah. And I think it was just you guys were like helping out on like this and the other spikes. So that was also like super helpful. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. I take no credit. No. But yeah, this was cool because it was like, yeah, Olympics. Like that's something I think that any designer would, you know, love to do. Love to work on products that gets shown at that stage and athletes that are on that level. So like that was a really proud moment for like us on the team to be able to like bring something to life for the athletes that like they'd been wanting and like giving them something like really competitive to run in. So yeah, that was the Hyperion Elite. Yeah. Yeah, I love the plate. I think that's cool. Just making sure I get it in the shot. Yeah. I mean, everything top to bottom on this is legit. Thanks, man. All right. Should we jump? Yeah. Okay. And the last one. I guess I should show both of these. This is what's crazy to me. When I see this shoe come up, like, John, how long have you been a footwear designer? Dang, I think like almost 8 years now. Like, yeah, something like that. 7 and change. And when did you start on this project? This project? This was like, how many years would you have been a footwear designer when you started on this? Oh, at that time, shoot. What did I say? I said 7.5, 8. So like, probably 7.5, 6.5, like 5.5 years, something like that. No, no, 6. I'll say
I
6. I'll
was
say
gonna
6.
say, it's like you saw the stuff I was doing in year 6, you would be like, what is this fool doing? If I like, that's what I'm saying. This stuff is all right. You can go, but this is
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
holy crap.
Tell you, dude, you give the compliments. Um, yeah, so this project is one of the most recent projects that's, already I think it like technically goes on sale like later this year, but like, yeah, it's been already publicized and everything.
People running it? They've run it, yeah.
Yeah, Ali's been running this since like last year, New York Marathon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like with this, I think the cool memory or cool like thing is like obviously it's very present still. Like it's been out technically publicly, but like I think what's nice is we tried a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, so this is the one that this is like the one that like we made adjustments from this to get here. But this was I was like again, like you just there's like the little things that we like try. Like I'm sure you had that experience where you're like, oh, like what if we tried this weird thing and like then there's a performance benefits. Like this one, we're like, oh man, like the tongue, I think was like when we weighed it was like half an ounce. So we're like, oh shoot, like could we cut out half an ounce by like not having a tongue? And like how much do you need it? Like what do you need of the tongue? Like so that was a thing. And then dang, I didn't bring the other one, but the other one we like chopped off the bottom of the midsole and like had the plate at the bottom so you could see it through like the outside and stuff. So we tried a bunch of stuff with this. We like stripped out everything we could. Again, like weight was like such an important thing. Like took out all the guts that we could. So like you get this like kind of x-ray, like, there's just the bare bones of the chassis kind of thing. So that was really fun because I think this was my first time. So this season was cool because then I had like a normal like workload. Like everything before that was like 3 shoes at the same time. Like all were like highly technical, highly complicated and like need to perform at the best that they could, so it was like overwhelming. Yeah. And then it was finally like, oh cool. Now I have like a more balanced like workload. I can actually like put more energy into like concepts and like really try things, explore. Because like when you have not I won't say too much, when you have a lot of projects to get done, like you kind of have there's only so much you could do, so like you're a little limited by time in that sense. But yeah, so this was one of the ones where we're like, oh cool, we can actually like explore new geometries, like new things, like what does the shoe really need to be, like how little of a shoe do you need to like get you from A to B. So yeah, so this was really fun. Really like a cool time of just like exploring, being curious, and like getting to something that we were like pretty happy with. And then these were like some of the mods that we had to make. We sadly had to go back with like a really minimal tongue, but yeah, it was this was a cool like this was probably this, and there's one other shoe that were in the same season that I think were like the most like fun, I would say. So that have been some of the most fun projects so far that I've worked on. Because we just it's like athlete first, like do what's best for them, and that's like the end all. Like for what we need to justify things is like if it's gonna work better for them, like that's what we do. Right. So yeah, we got to try weird things that you wouldn't normally be able to try. Right. Yeah. It's fun.
What's it like? Working with a Olympic athlete?
You know what? I feel like it's very like okay. I think there's I'm trying to think of how to say it. So there's like there are a lot of different types of athletes personality wise, like from I would say a Brooks perspective, a lot of the athletes are like very chill and just very like just regular people. Like, so I think the Olympic thing, I think there's a lot of ways you can like kind of psych yourself out of like being comfortable, you know what I mean? Because you have all these like, oh shoot, this person's like all these accolades and all this and that. And it's like you can build up this image of like who they are. But like if you're just able to relate to people and like talk in their language and like talk about things that they're interested in, and you do your research like beforehand, so you kind of get, it's like when you're interviewing somebody, right? Like, you want to know, like you're able to actually converse with somebody and have bring up interesting things that they want to talk about. It was kind of the same thing, honestly. It was like, I was like a little nervous when I first started working with like the entire team of like Brooks Beast, because there's like a lot of people, so you're there just like, oh shoot, I have to like really be on like my game. But yeah, working with Olympic athletes was like obviously like such a blessing in my career, you know, to be able to do that. But like from a human to human perspective, it was like very intuitive as long as you're like prepared, researched, like, you know, the performance parts of like what you need to know, you know, and then some, because you're trying to present like new ideas to them and they're just like, oh, okay. But like if you're presenting it in a way that they're like, oh, that could improve my race or like whatever, a tiny thing that's like give me a little edge, like
Right.
they're down, you know what I mean? Because they want whatever it is that they can have from like their shoes. Like if that's a thing that'll get them like a 0.1 whatever like second off of their time, like they're down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, as long as you're like, yeah, coming correct, basically, like, yeah, it was really like, I don't know, wasn't as intimidating as it would seem from the outside.
Right. So it's like, yeah, it's not like you're like buddy. You're like texting them. You're like, hey, good race.
Good race, bro.
Yeah.
No. It's not that. I mean, some people that work at Brooks, like they are, you know,
oh yeah,
text,
right.
like dads, like, oh yo, like blah blah, let's get lunch. Like you're in town, like let's go grab a beer. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
right.
Like, you know, there's people that like connect on that level, but you know,
man,
yeah.
This is like, this is one of those shoes.
Am I getting it in the camera?
Is it in the camera? This is one of those ones where I'm like, man, design wise though, it's like, that's just like, I don't know where you go to like get this stuff. That's where I'm like even when I look at the traction, I'm like, man, I would never have thought about this. Like these lines and how they're moving. I'm like, man.
And that's a great like pivot point, because like you know, like talking about like collaboration. So like the outsole, like again, it's like you sharing all these ideas and like directions of where to go, and then like, you know, we worked with Max. Shoot, I'm gonna butcher his last name.
That's all good.
Shargle?
Yeah.
But Max, who's a really amazing designer, like he was like computational like expert, and then also Alex Hill. Shout out to Alex, who was also like working at Brooks. Around this time too.
Yep.
And yeah, so like in collaboration with other designers, it's like you build on different ideas. So like Max brings like an image to the table, or like, oh, this like generative exploration.
Right.
And then like, you know, I'm like, oh shoot, like that's interesting. What if you did this? What if you did that? What if it had more flow? What, you know, you have to like build into functional things too. Like, okay, the traction needs to go in this direction. So you kind of build on that. And then Alex comes in, he puts his ideas on it. So like we all were like mixing in on it. And then like, you know, boom, that's where you end up with like, you know, whatever the final result is.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because I was able to like, you know, thank them also, because yeah, I mean, I've already thanked them in person, but
right.
you know,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the outsole was like, yeah, a nice like collaboration, I'd say.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't have any skin in the game, right? But it's like, I don't know, as far as like, I mean, I do, because I work there, but it's like,
yeah, man,
it's like
you worked there longer than me, right?
right. But no, but it's like one of those things where I'm like, I've seen a lot of Brooks shoes. 8, 9. I didn't even know Brooks existed before I worked there. You know, it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think this is, I mean, I'm sure there's something coming down the pipe that I don't know, like down the road, obviously. Work doesn't stop. So like Brooks just turned the lights out because Sean made HE5. Or
definitely not.
Yeah. Then he's like, all right, hang it up. But like, I don't know, man. This is like, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's more shoes that come, but this is the best one I've seen. I mean, like,
thanks, man.
That's why we have you on the show, because I'm like, holy crap.
Thanks, sir.
Like,
I appreciate that.
This is legit. Man. All right.
That was it.
That's that with the hot ones.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, please. Gosh. If we can show that we can generate an audience, then we can do so much more stuff. Awesome. Man, I love it. I mean, I remember seeing this one before I took off, and I was just like, okay. I was like, this is gonna go crazy. Especially, I thought if the tongue thing worked out, my gosh, I was like, can you imagine?
You're like twisting the knife that's like in my heart.
But like, that's the thing. Like, you're just not afraid, and like, I feel like sometimes if you get into like, or if you're in a role for a certain amount of time, I feel like you can get to a point where like you don't push things as hard as they should be pushed. And I just feel like you're like, when you said like take a big swing, I've been thinking about that since you said it. Like, yeah, what in my projects am I holding back on? I need to take bigger swings. And you're right. Like, and I hope everyone gets this too. When you get an assignment, like think about like how many shoes you get per year. You know? How many chances do you get to design a shoe that's going to be in the market? And even like span that to an entire career. Like if you're only getting 2 a year and you work in footwear for 15 years, you get 30 chances to make an awesome shoe. That's not a lot.
That's true. I never thought about that.
And then like say like some of them get cut, you know, then you're only making, you know, gosh, it could be, who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, when you get a chance to take a swing as best as you can. I mean, without getting yourself, I mean, having 3 projects on your like intense projects, I don't know how many swings I'd be taking, but like, but yeah, when you get something like that, like you see what you can do with time. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. Even then it's like, if we would have had more time, we would have figured it out, but we didn't have time. Like, you still have, at least within like our process, like the Brooks process, I'd say like you kind of just have like a shot to try something. Right. And then like, for better or worse, like, all right, the next one's got to be like,
you gotta lock, you know what I mean? You gotta lock it in.
Yeah.
So, no, yeah. I feel it. Sick. Do you have anything else to say?
No, that was cool.
All right, I'm gonna cut the camera. I'm not gonna turn anything off, but we're gonna do a little moving around, and we're gonna shoot the sketches.
Dude, look at some water too.
Yeah. All right, we're here. Sketch Sesh. All right, our phones are. Oh wait, yeah, our phones are doing the things that the phones do. But do you have one of your shoes in mind that we are going to do today?
Yeah, I think maybe let's just do this one. I think this
the Agil?
Pretty straightforward. Yeah, the Agil.
All right. Now you sketch it how you sketch it, and I'll sketch it how I sketch it.
Okay.
And we'll just do a solid timer on this one because it's
late.
It's late. We've been doing this for a long time.
Dude, you picked me up at what time?
I don't. 6. About 4 hours. We're out in about 4 hours.
More, man. Almost 5. We're at 4:40. I guess since you picked me up.
Don't say it.
No, you were rounding down. That's funny.
I am. All right.
Okay.
Lock it in.
Let's do it. Okay, so do we need to talk during this or just like sketching?
I mean, you can talk. How would I start with I mean, you can talk about what you're doing, like how you approach it.
Yeah. I guess. Okay, so yeah, I usually use like a grid just to like help me with the like ground plane and like scale.
Right.
So I like that. And then yeah, obviously we're just winging this, right? So
you start with a grid?
Just to get the ground line.
Oh my gosh, I'm not starting with a grid.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you are starting with a grid, but I've never even thought to do that.
I don't always, but it just helps me for literally just to get my ground line sometimes. But it's just helpful, I think. And then
I'm messing up already.
I'm just doing like from memory kind of. I don't think it needs to be accurate necessarily, but
yeah, well, having never drawn this shoe.
Yeah, it's gonna be easier for me than for you.
You might have some advantage.
Oh, is this a competition? Is that what this is?
I have no idea. People are gonna look at what I'm doing and think, what is this guy?
What is this guy? He's a designer. That's what it is. The shoe is also really easy to draw, so that's nice.
Speak for yourself, man.
Oh yeah.
All right, so what I'm seeing is a little bit of that. This will come around, everybody. Don't freak.
Oh, I think it's like, oh no. I think maybe it's fine. You know when like you're recording a screen from afar and you get that like weird you know, lines or distortion?
I will
just double check if that's happening on mine. It looks like kind of weird, but I'm also not sure.
No, it's good.
No, it's good. Oh, okay.
Yours is looking amazing.
Okay, cool.
I should have switched cameras.
Oh, yours is like yours is like 720.
Yeah,
720p.
It could be better. Not bad.
Yeah.
Could be better.
It's all good. So, okay, so you wanted me to what? Talk about just like my process or sketch process?
Well, whatever you're doing, like if you feel
yeah, I kind of just lay the lines down, like silhouette, proportions, kind of make sure that's all good. Yeah, I think when it was recording earlier, I like repeated a line multiple times, which I think is something that a lot of people do. Just trying to get the right curve and the right shape. So a lot of times I'll undo and then redo that.
Yeah.
And then try to be a little organized, you know, because a lot of times I haven't been. Like with the layers and stuff, you know?
Yeah, right.
Try to do it in a certain way. And then, yeah, the next easiest part is just like color. We're using Procreate. So really easy to just like block color in.
I'm gonna try to do.
Bro, I'm gonna finish this shoe in like 5 minutes. It's so like straightforward.
I feel like they're not capturing it.
Oh, it's not? Oh, you can see that?
The tech packs like just went.
Oh damn. Even Flex like, yo, we're done.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Not in the shop. Yeah, it's not in the shop.
No. Nice. Is that good?
Yep.
Okay.
It's not in the shop.
Sweet. Okay, yours coming along too.
All right. Gosh. Cool. It's like extemporaneous light.
That's crazy that it went out. Why do you think it went out? Did you like kick the plug or something?
Nope. But it probably has a timer.
Oh.
Or like if it overheats or something.
That's okay.
This might be our sign.
That's okay because we're like, you know, mostly recording down now. So okay. So then yeah, lines to get proportions and everything right. And then I start adding color to like block out the different components. You know, get some like eyes.
Maybe I should make
little shapes in there.
I'm telling you, man.
Huh?
I'm like, I need to start over.
And then just add like a shadow layer as well. So I'll use an airbrush for the shadow.
I think it'll become clear to everybody that you've done this. You've sketched this shoe a bunch and I've sketched it never.
I mean, this is kind of like the same process for any shoe, really. It's just like try to keep it as simple as possible.
You're just like, hey, you know, you should be able to do this.
Come on, man. You're a veteran, dude. You got this. It's a competition, right? Isn't this a race? Did you say it?
Man, I don't know.
It's not a race. Okay. So now I got a little bit of shadow, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. When I'm in these like early concept phases, it just can be like very rough,
Right.
and it's fine because you're just trying to like get the point across to yourself, really,
Right.
before you like talk to anybody else about it, really. And then here, I think I was just like connecting the upper to the tooling, which I think I try to do a lot. And then we're gonna add a little Brooks logo. I'll just write it in, just to, not go through my camera roll.
Right.
Oops.
That's another thing we'll do. Like designers will like, it's just the iPad world. We've like started saving
Yeah.
like
Saving
stuff so that we just like drop in.
Yeah. I think it would have been cool if we could have done like upper or the Brooks thing like over the upper and tooling, but we didn't have that at that time. Yeah, because I think that would have looked a bit better.
I
But
think you still got it done.
yeah.
Man, I'm just trying to like understand all the different components.
Just adding some laces. Maybe I'll make them a little darker because usually I'll do like tonal laces and then kind of shade it or just darken it a little bit.
Sometimes I'll like not like the proportion of something, and I'll just like use distort and just like
kind of, oh yeah, just like warp it.
Yeah, just kind of like get it a little bit better.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. It's a good idea. Oh yeah, and I forgot about. Oh yeah, then that's kind of the last thing I'll do is start like adding details. I guess I usually do that before I added laces just now, but I shouldn't have done that. That's not usually what I do. But yeah, then I kind of added the frame. There was like a little support beam in there, remember? Remember that? Oops, this is.
And the way you did like all this stuff.
Oh yeah, the little jaggedies. That's true. Forgot about that. Damn it. That's right. Dang, I just did it without it, and I'm like, that actually looks kind of cool without all those things, but we'll add them in.
I'm gonna do. Oops. Try to find this color.
Do you also like if you mess up, like let's say you're drawing on paper, do you also sometimes accidentally try to like tap your paper to undo? Because I do that sometimes, and I'm like embarrassed at myself.
I have done that. I don't like, oh man. This is how I open my Tech Packs Are Due sketching idea by dropping the worst sketch of a shoe like of all time.
The worst sketch of a shoe? I'm sure it's not the worst.
It's not great.
It's okay, man. It's not a real project.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't need to be anything. Okay. And then the outsole. That's always fun to do. So,
oh, you're doing a little bit of that.
Well, because the side view, because like from the side view, this outsole is like pretty aggressive. So I'm just adding that in there.
It is, and you have like some interesting sculpting.
On what? On the midsole?
Yeah, there's like some little things.
Yeah, definitely little things. Because that tooling was like, it's so thin, it's like minimal stack height. So there wasn't really a lot of room to do much, but kind of helped because then you just keep it like really simple. Which is like, I feel like always my attempt. Yes.
Let's find this. Try to find this blue somewhere.
Blue? Oh, that blue. Oh, I'm doing the orange. There was an orange one that is like EMEA only, I think, or like Asia Pacific only.
Yeah.
And I really love that orange colorway, so I'm doing that one. It was like orange with like yellow stripes.
It didn't see America. It didn't come out.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. They didn't range it, I guess. So now I'm having to like figure out how to get it from EMEA.
Right.
Yeah, because I did the VPN thing and like that didn't even work. So
Oh, you tried.
yeah, I try to like, pretend like I'm in Europe and have it order for me, but something
Yeah, right.
blocks me. What else? I guess that's kind of it, honestly. It's pretty simple shoe.
Well, we are running out of time.
Okay, cool.
We got 8 minutes. Are you kidding me?
We're at 8 minutes?
We got 8 minutes left on the sketch timer.
Shoot, I could even
Like, do we need
you then.
Do we need that?
Not really. I'm already done. Let's see.
And you're already done.
I mean, kinda. It's like pretty. Oops, spend it, but it's kind of rough. But
just keep it in the middle. Oh, there's 5 laces. Shoot, I'm gonna add that one in. Man, I'm telling you, I start this thing. I should have done like a warm up.
Warm up, bro. You've been sketching.
Let's do a little lace flying around thing.
That is. I do like seeing how different people do their laces. Because that's always a thing that like it's like a little signature.
Yeah,
so I do like that.
I don't like to fuss with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just want to do like a line that goes backwards and that's it. Let's see what else we got. Anything else? Let's grab that color again.
Forgot about that sculpt line in the middle.
Boom. And then give that. Yeah. I think this is how I would do it if I were doing like a like trying to like just do a concept sketch of it. I don't think this is like by any means a like something I'm trying to use to present to any body of
critiquers.
Yeah, critiquers or like someone who has decision making power. I think I would tighten it up quite a bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm getting there. I'm slowly but surely. This is a quick one. I mean, for sure. I did no layers, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Damn.
I went
throwback.
it's like what is it? It's just raw dogging a sketch right now.
Damn. Okay, I think that's kind of it.
And then come in here with a little bit of that.
Oh yeah, there's a little negative space in here too.
And then I think I want to give.
That's it.
I come in here with the white.
Oops.
Oh crap. Come in here.
Okay, so that's like finished thumbnail sketch for me.
Nice.
Yours is looking good, man.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Is there anything else I'd want to do? I don't know. I don't know how to indicate these sculpt lines in the.
Oh yeah, the texture
in the tool, but I put that there for right now. Put a little line for the top line, a little highlight. Boop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? For not really knowing much. And then I would probably come in here with a material brush.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And then I would probably do a little material brush action, find the right size. Yeah, that's the stuff. Those material brushes, it's like the make or break. I don't know how we existed as like designers before material brushes.
Hatching, man.
Right?
Just hatching.
Someone was doing.
Dude, people used to render with like whiteout.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And there's some dots. All right, I know there's 9 of them. For whoever is out there watching me, like I know there's 9 dots.
Damn.
Don't come at me.
He got details in there.
Don't come at me. And then hit that. All right, that's it.
Sweet.
Bang.
All right, let me see.
It's pretty dirty, but it is here.
Nice. That looks
pretty accurate. Word.
I like that. Looks good.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You would bring this to meetings and stuff, and I'd be like, "What?"
I would bring like these.
I'm like,
that's
"What?"
True. I would do that. You're like, "Wait, bro."
I'm like, "How is that? How is
this okay?
How is that going to become a shoe? There's no way that's going to become a shoe." And they're like, "No, that's a shoe." And I'm like, "No, it's not a shoe. He can't do it."
But I have to render all my projects. But I have to render an Illustrator.
Do you know do you know what I have to do to get the product down? Man.
Yeah, that's true. Y'all be like drawing things.
Hey.
So tight, like,
ah. All right, that's it. This is the podcast. This is the new form. We're trying new stuff. We're gonna hit stop on all this stuff, and we'll see everybody next time. Probably be just me and Colin chit-chatting about what we just did here. I will take some time to mentally recover from all the stuff I just had to do in order to get this done. And we will try to go to sleep before midnight. That's it. Tech Packs are due. Footwear Design Podcast, The Real Deal. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe. John, thank you.
Thanks, man. This was cool.
And we'll see you next time.